That's why Leonardo da Vinci placed the Vitruvian Man inside of a square and circle. The circle represents spirit because circle surface areas cannot be calculated to the exact number. It represents something immeasurable, immaterial, something spiritual. And the square, on the other hand, represents something that you can measure. The surface area is easily calculated. So it represents man is both a spiritual and a material creature. His mind exists in higher dimensions, while his body exists in the three-dimensional reality. You can ascend your consciousness and access higher dimensional realities. That's why the circle is placed just above the square, because it symbolizes spirit ruling over matter. It is the mind that rules over the physical reality.
The Statue of Liberty is Lucifer, and it was created by Frederick August Barthold, a French Freemason. This symbol, or this hand gesture, is called Master of the Second Veil, which you see all these people do here. So it's an occult symbol. Now, if you follow it even closer, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is a big number in Freemasonry, the G, the seventh letter of the English alphabet, symbolizing the 7 cognitions of the mind, which is understanding, intuition, perception, memory, reason, willpower, and imagination, the 7 powers of the mind, illuminating. Then if you follow even deeper, the spiral staircase looks identical to the spinal cord, which is the Kundalini awakening. When you have a Kundalini awakening, it activates dormant brain cells in your brain that weren't active before, and it leads to illumination and enlightenment. So all of this is symbolic of enlightenment, light, knowledge, information, born again. Here's the Google Chrome logo, and it looks identical to 666. And here's the Google Play logo, which looks identical to the sigil of Lucifer. And the sigil of Lucifer looks identical to the brain's visual field. And Lucifer means the light bearer or the light bringer. Lucy means light, and fer means bring. The eyes are the light bringer to the brain to produce a visual reality. We don't see reality outside of us. Light enters our eyes, and the image is produced in the visual cortex at the back of the brain. In esoteric terms, Lucifer is not a real person. Esoteric terms, Lucifer is correlated to our perception, how we perceive things. For example, most people think the physical reality exists when it's actually a hologram produced by their brain. Luciferianism is about presenting something very good, luring you in, but it's actually pulling you into darkness. Kind of like how the brain chip will work. They will present it that you can learn everything, download information into your brain with a brain chip, but it's actually tracking your thoughts. And that's what Luciferianism truly is, presenting something to be very good, luring you in when it's actually got a hidden agenda behind it. Satanism is a little bit different. Satanism is about pure evil in plain sight without any cover-up or any beauty covering it up.
That's why Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden represents your consciousness, because the garden represents a whole state you once lived in as a child. As a baby, you were unified. You did not suppress parts of yourself to fit in. You did not perform. You were authentic, connected to your higher awareness, and psychologically whole. So what does eating the apple mean? The apple symbolizes transformation through destruction. Destruction of unity, the birth of duality, a split in your consciousness, a movement into a new state of awareness. Why did they suddenly realize they were naked? Because self-awareness emerged. Just as a child grows, you become conscious of yourself. You see yourself as separate. You begin to observe yourself through the eyes of others. What happens next? Conditioning begins. You suppress aspects of yourself to fit in with society. You create a mask. The psyche divides between who you are and who you think you must be. Leaving the Garden of Eden is not a physical exile. It is a psychological shift from unity consciousness to fragmentation. The real return to Eden is restoring the wholeness and the reunion with your authentic higher mind.
7 deadly sins are emotions.
The word sin comes from a Mesopotamian term linked to the Sin, god of the moon. Moon represents the feminine aspect of consciousness, hence why Mary was always symbolized with a moon beneath her feet, symbolizing emotional control and self-mastery. The 7 deadly sins are not actions, they're states of consciousness you feel that pull you into your lower mind. When you feel an emotion, you will cast this energy into your aura, and then you will attract frequencies based on the frequency that you put out. Feeling these 7 states of consciousness will attract to you negative low vibrational people and thoughts. These are not actions, these are feelings you feel in your heart. The states of consciousness that pull you away from God, which is your true divine nature, your higher self. There is no man judging you in the sky when you die, it's only yourself, because we are all one consciousness.
Aliens are a complete psyop. The word alien has the word lie in it. If you read it backwards, it says Neil A. Neil Armstrong, the first man supposedly on the moon, the person that tricked humanity into believing there's lands beyond the Earth. The reason they want you to believe in space is because they don't want you focused here on Earth, placing your attention on other worlds, when in fact we need to fix this world, because this world is a mess. Why are we trying to build civilization on Mars when we need to rebuild our civilization ourselves? It's a complete distraction. You can't go to space on a rocket ship. The way you access space is through astral projection. Your astral body is your rocket ship. That's what projects consciousness outside the limitations of the physical world. They just want you to believe you're in a physical universe and you're only a physical being. And you're actually far more than that. The elites of that's why you say you spend time. Here's Madonna's tattoo, and it's the Kabbalah tree. And here's David Bowie drawing the Kabbalah tree. This tree is on your hands, and it's basically a blueprint that represents how consciousness comes down and solidifies itself into a physical reality. Malkuth represents earth, physical reality, and Keter represents pure light consciousness. There are two ways you can use this tree. You can use it as an ascension tool to go from Malkuth, the physical world, and ascend your consciousness up the tree to divine source, or you can use it in magic to bring down the higher forces of consciousness to create a physical reality in magic. Now, we all know why these people probably use it. You can use the tree for bad reasons and for good reasons. This Christian painting called the Holy Trinity even has the Kabbalah tree inside of it, and it's from 1625, and you can find this in Rome in this church. Tree can be divided in these four sections, representing the four dimensions of consciousness: the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the physical. And that's how consciousness solidifies into a physical reality. We have willpower. Willpower turns into thought and thinking. Thinking turns into emotion and desire. And that turns into a physical action to create the physical world. I didn't do this stone. That's why Nikola Tesla would walk around a building 3 times before entering. What did he understand about repetition that most people ignore? Tesla recognized the power of cycles. The mind responds to rhythms and repetition. When an action is repeated with intention, it becomes a ritual. What is a ritual? A ritual is a repeated behavior charged with focus. Repetition installs patterns into the subconscious mind. What you do consistently becomes who you are. So why 3 times? 3 represents completion of a cycle. By walking around buildings 3 times, Tesla was not being irrational. He was reinforcing a mental state. He was conditioning focus, control, and precision. What does this mean for you? Every repeated action programs the mind. If done unconsciously, it installs limitation. If done intentionally, it installs discipline and clarity. Tesla understood that the mind runs on cycles, just like day and night, winter and summer. Master the ritual, and you become the master of your mind. And that's why the ancients called the sun Sol. Sol is another word for soul. The earth is darkness. It produces no light. All of the warmth, energy, and nutrients come from the sun. The sun's light feeds the earth. Your body is nothing without your soul. Your soul is the observer of your mind, the inner thinker, the inner being who suffers from your negative thoughts. You are the soul in the mind, and the mind is in the body. The body is a miniature earth, and your soul is a miniature sun. When someone truly understands the meaning and understanding of as above so below, they see the secrets of the universe. So we all remember when the king had this painting done, and it looked like the Baphomet when you placed them together and inverted it. But the same artist did one of David Attenborough. David Attenborough had this painting done, and take a look at the hand gesture he's doing here. Take a closer look. This hand gesture he's doing is clearly the Kabbalah. And I've just made a previous video about Kabbalah and Madonna's tattoo if you want to check that out. This is all Kabbalah. It's all Kabbalah magic. Now, I'm not saying Kabbalah is evil, because Kabbalah is simply just the tool. However, you can use it for good or bad. So, you just know that these are all occultists. That's why most people in the world are unknowingly being a Satanist, without even realizing. Because Satanism is not about worshipping Satan. It is a state of consciousness, where a person only desires physical things, flesh, lust, sensual pleasures, and material things such as money, ego, and power. People's hearts are only caring about themselves and what they can gain, and not what they can give to humanity and creation. People are unknowingly being Satanists because Satanism is not a religion. It's a state of consciousness, a state of thinking, feeling, and acting. That's why the skull and bones is a satanic symbolism. The skull represents thought, and the bones represent action, only thinking and acting.
That's what Satanism truly is, with no true connection with their emotions. The emotions tell you what is right and wrong, through love. Your emotions' natural mode is love. The Matrix is designed in such a perfect way to make people unknowingly a Satanist, while they don't even realize.
If you want to know God, you have to transcend religion. If you stay within religion, you will never know God.
That's
you will
right.
believe in God,
That's right.
you will never know Him.
I agree with you, brother.
And if you don't know God, you will never be free. If you see people who believe in God, they're looking for Him in the far off while they have Him right in front of their nose. That's the problem.
Yes, sir.
Religion, you know what I ask my brothers when they get angry with me? I say, between man and religion, who came first?
Man.
You see, if man came first, now you tell me, the men who came and left before religion arrived, where would they go? To hell or where would they go? Answer my question now. The people who came before the arrival of religion,
Right.
they came and left. Where would they go?
They go right back to the cosmos.
They can't answer it.
Right.
Religious people can't answer this. It's too deep.
That's
They
right.
can't answer that.
That's
because
beautiful.
they are limited in the spectrum of religion. You have to get out of that to know God.
There you go.
If you're caught up in religion, you will never
know God.
You will believe in God.
That's right.
That is an amazing video, and it puts it into perspective that people are living in a lie. Believing in something does not mean it's truth. If I was a Christian and I was in a car crash and I survived, I would say Jesus saved my life. If I was a Muslim, I would say Allah saved my life. The same event happened, but two different beliefs. Therefore, we should not be researching and believing in the beliefs of the mind. We should be researching the very substance of mind itself, because that is the truth, not the belief the mind believes in. And when you realize and get to know the substance of mind, you start to realize, wow, everything is made of this one substance. Everything is God. Everything is consciousness. Therefore, God is you, God is the dog, the squirrel, and the plant. And that's when you get to know something. When you know yourself, you start to understand consciousness and God.
Astral projection is bullshit is what I used to think. I used to think none of this was actually true, and I was only my physical body, until I had my first out-of-body experience. And in order to have an out-of-body experience, you have to understand a few things, so I'm going to tell you how you can do it. Very simple. You have awake consciousness, asleep consciousness. When you drift off to sleep, you have this trance-like state where you're half awake and half asleep. This trance state is the goal that you need to get into. Lie your body down very still, do not move your body, because you need to dissolve the senses of the nervous system. While your body is very still, anchor your attention to your awareness, not your mind. Observe your mind. Try and become the awareness and do not be drifted away by thoughts. While you keep the body very still and you're anchored in this awareness, you will drift into this half awake, half asleep, trance-like state. When you're in this trance-like state, you're more than likely shifting into alpha and theta brainwaves. Rest in this trance-like state until your mind and body are completely dissolved and you are literally this floating awareness in the middle of nothingness, the void. Now you have two options. You either sit there in the awareness trance-like state for a long period of time until something happens or you fall asleep. Or you consciously use your intention to imagine a place that you want to go. And when you're imagining that place, you literally project your awareness into your astral body using your desire, intention, imagination, and willpower. You might do it tonight, you might do it in a year's time. Keep trying it, and I guarantee you will have an out-of-body experience. Not actually leaving the body when we astral project. We are simply dissolving all of the noise, such as the mind and body, and using the awareness to project itself into a body that already exists, your astral body. Reptilians run the world is what I used to think. I used to think Jews ran the world, I used to think Freemasons ran the world, I used to think all these things. Because I used to go down the rabbit holes of Hollywood, cloning, celebrity cloning, pedophilia, all that stuff. I've been down there, and let me tell you something, it got me nowhere. I was so lost. I used to look at the TV screen and think they were shape-shifting reptilians. I had to look at things twice. Honestly, the only thing that benefited my life was obviously going through that was good because it led me to my awakening, you know, starting off with the rabbit holes and the conspiracies. But it gets you nowhere. The only thing that actually matters is knowledge of yourself. Occultism, symbolism, consciousness, psychology, mentalism, electromagnetism, and If you study them, watch your life just change. My life completely changed. And I started to realize so much about myself and how powerful we actually are as humans. We're so powerful. And them rabbit holes are probably made on purpose to keep people distracted. Just leave it alone. Who cares? Just study about yourself. This image of the Queen reveals a pentagram next to the Masonic compass. The pentagram is used in magic. It reveals how consciousness creates physical reality, because each element is symbolic for a different body of consciousness. When you draw the pentagram, it's symbolic of how spirit turns into matter, how the forces go through each body of consciousness. Pentagram starts at spirit, which represents divine inspiration, which then goes down to fire, which is willpower. Fire goes up to air, which is the mind, thought. The thought turns into water, which is emotion, and emotion turns into desire, which goes into the physical body, and the body takes action on physical reality. The symbol of the pentagram is not evil, it's just been heavily demonized over the past few hundred years. Inverted pentagram is the evil one. This represents how your physical needs are more important than your spiritual, which is basically the mind of a satanic person. And that's why they keep you constantly distracted with external things, because they don't want you to know that your body is the most advanced technology on the earth, and that your mind is in charge of 50 trillion cells that religiously obey every thought command that you project. You are literally in charge of a universe inside of you. But they want you to think rocket ships and iPhones are very advanced technology. But look at yourself. No one can replicate the human body. This video came out in 1980.
Watch out for 666.
In a vision of the future, I saw in a vivid dream that the hour is soon coming when men will become machines. A new one world order will rise and then demand that all the world's people receive their scientific brand. I saw a tiny free program, computer chips so thin, implanted in men's foreheads, underneath their skin, linking all its bearers to the system's central brain. The master computer that over them will reign. Watch out for 666.
If that video isn't predictive programming, then I don't know what is. The reason they do this is so that your subconscious mind is aware of these things. If they never showed you these things in the movies and through videos like that, your subconscious mind would reject it when it came up in reality. So they get you used to it, they drop gems, little bits of information about it before it happens, so that your subconscious mind is some formal way aware of it. The Jeffrey Epstein files are a form of black magic. No one's talking about what this is doing to people's minds. Here's the twist. Reading about pedophilia, sex trafficking, abuse over and over again is not normal. It's repetition. Your mind is not a trash can, it's a divine temple. Every word you read enters your subconscious, not consciously, subconsciously. And when you repeatedly consume dark material, your nervous system doesn't register it as exposure. It registers it as normal. The subconscious doesn't ask, is this true? It asks, is this familiar? The more familiar something becomes, the less shocking it feels, the less resistance you have, the more desensitized you become to it. You think you're staying informed, but what you're really doing is rehearsing darkness inside your own consciousness. And that doesn't heal the world, it programs you. Protect your mind like you protect your body. Not everything deserves access to your inner world. These documents are probably darkening people. I've noticed this myself. If I see something in the morning, like, I don't know, a billboard with fruit on it, later that evening, I start thinking, oh, I'd love some fruit. Why is that? It's because what you see enters your subconscious mind and it influences your thoughts. So if you're reading about sex, trafficking, pedophilia, no wonder people can't quit porn, because the word sex is lingering in their consciousness over and over again. So, protect yourselves, people. Your mind is not something to play with. It holds the power of creation. Knowledge of yourself is the only thing worth knowing. Love and peace to you all. Drake's album cover is Freemasonic. In Freemasonry, you have the two pillars, with a person standing in between them, exactly like Drake's album cover. These two pillars are called Jachin and Boaz. They symbolize the masculine and feminine forces of consciousness. The I in the middle represents the unchanging awareness that witnesses our thoughts, emotions, and actions. These two pillars are at the entrance of the Temple of Solomon, and that temple is you, because your mind is the temple of your observer. The observer is singular, but your mind turns into duality, because your mind labels things in good or bad. If your mind is filled with fear and anxiety, then your observer is inside a prison. Freemasons call themselves builders. They're the rebuilders of the Temple of Solomon, which is your mind, so that your observer can thrive in a divine temple and not a prison. The two pillars can be found everywhere in cities because it represents the entrance to the Temple of Solomon. Walking in between these two pillars symbolize the path to enlightenment and initiation. The person standing between them represents entering into their own inner world, into their own mind, and working on their consciousness. All symbolic of rebuilding yourself and rebuilding your mind.
Food that is red, that's for your vitality and your energy. The orange food, whether it's oranges, squash, this is for the boosting of your immunity. Green is for your digestive system and detoxing you. The purple, the blue, this is relaxation. This is what antioxidant kills the free radicals. The yellow is good for your brain.
Yeah.
So whatever feeling you have,
Right.
they are your internal guidance system to let you know something is off balance in you. So if you know the color coding of food, you don't have to know how to read all through the paragraphs of stuff that's on the back. Matter of fact, if it got a paragraph, it's not food. Matter of fact, if it got a barcode, it's not food.
Wow.
It's really an industrialized commodity posing as food. It's good tasting plastic.
What a great video. What he said is actually true. And this is the reason why corporations like McDonald's, KFC, all utilize the colors of red, orange, and yellow. It's because humans possess trichromatic vision, which means our eyes are programmed to seek color. Therefore, in nature, when we are in the woods or in the wild, our eyes can easily pick up fruits and vegetables growing from the earth so that we can identify food and eat them. So the reason why these corporations utilize them colors is to make you more attracted to their food, which is not even food. It is industrial created food, which creates all sorts of problems in your body. The cartoon talks about how they use fluoride to block your pineal gland and that how you can astral project. Take a look at this.
A career? A job? That's all there is?
You might think that's all there is. Live, work, die, but that's not true. I'm Palmer Elemis, and this is the Wonder Cabinet, an exploration of the hidden mysteries of the universe. On tonight's show, the pineal gland, a small sac of fluid located in the center of the human brain, the third eye. The ancient Egyptians believed you could vibrate the pineal gland, allowing the consciousness to move any direction in space and time. Astral projection. And every vertebrate in the world has a pineal gland except one, the hagfish. You are not a hagfish.
I'm not a hagfish.
You're not. The powers that be have just gunked up our pineal glands with fluoride.
And this is why we need to study the occult. People are scared of this word occult, but it simply just means hidden. It's about studying the hidden forces and bodies of consciousness that you possess. And people are so scared of this, but you are far more than your physical body. And you can only figure this stuff out once you understand the occult side of your life and consciousness. That's why intelligent people choose to stay silent. Intelligence is not loud. It does not announce itself. The mind that sees deeply learns restraint, not performance. The more patterns you recognize, the less you rush to speak. Because truth is heavy, and only fools swing weight carelessly. Wisdom moves inward. It studies symbols, cycles, calls, and sequences. It listens longer than it talks. Silent is not emptiness or weakness. It is containment. The initiated do not chase attention. They observe, they refine, they wait. Intelligent is not noise, it is gravity. God did not place his brand, his name, his signature on any of his creations. He created complexity and beauty without seeking recognition. The North Pole of Saturn, you have the hexagon, which is basically a cube. This is where you get the black cube of Saturn from. The color black is associated with Saturn because Saturn rules the winter time. That's why we have the black cube of Saturn, which can be found on the Jew's head or in Mecca. And when you graduate from university, you wear a black square on your head. Saturn is known as the god of time. Your body has a limited amount of time in this physical dimension. However, your soul lives forever. In the ancient myths, Saturn was the god of the physical world because time rules the physical world. A hexagram of Saturn can turn into a 6-pointed star. 6 points, 6 mini triangles, and 6 sides. 6, 6, 6. There are 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute, and 24 hours in a day. 2 plus 4 equals 6. That's 666. If you add up the opposite number on the clock, it always adds up to 6. 12 take away 6 is 6. 1 take away 7 is 6. Internet is www. World Wide Web, which means vav 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 666. Physical reality or the physical body is the cube. You can either move left, right, forwards, backwards, upwards and down. You are the cube. You are not your physical body. You have many other higher dimensions of consciousness, such as the mind, the astral plane and the etheric plane. That's why we say think outside the box, because the box is the physical world and your mind can operate in these higher dimensions. Most of these religions have Saturn symbolism to make you worship time and the physical body in the physical world. If you take the word Yahweh and flip it on its side, it is the human body. The word Yahweh translates to I am that I am. Yahweh contains 4 letters, each letter representing one of the 4 elements. The 4 elements represent the 4 bodies of human consciousness. Fire, the spirit, willpower. Air, the mind, thought. Water, emotion. And earth, the physical body, actions. When you inhale, it sounds like YH, and when you exhale, it sounds like WH. H is the letter of breath, ha. Yahweh is not talking about a god in the sky. Yahweh is the name of the god inside the self, because we are all one singular consciousness, experiencing this same consciousness in a different physical body. We are all expressions of Yahweh. We are the divine manifesting itself in the 4 different bodies of consciousness. The page we use today in this video was taken from the Book of Symbolism. Jacob's ladder in the Bible is the human spinal column. Genesis 28:12. Jacob dreamed, and he behold a ladder that set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. Jacob fell asleep on a rock, and then he saw this ladder that reached up to heaven. The rock would be associated with the coccyx bone, and the ladder would be your spinal cord, which reaches up to the brain, which is the center of consciousness. Angels are metaphors for the electricity inside the human spinal column, because angels are the helpers of God. But in esotericism, everything is a metaphor. The helpers of God would be the helpers and messengers of consciousness, which would be electricity moving up and down the spinal column to help consciousness have a connection with the physical organism, so God can experience himself in a physical form, the human body. In esotericism, the spinal cord is considered the stairway to heaven, because the spinal cord represents the higher and lower mind. The lower minds represent the guts and the genital areas, where our thoughts of survival, eating and sex exist. But when we conquer these desires, consciousness raises up the spinal cord towards the creative centers, the brain and the heart. So the spinal cord represents the pathway towards God, the pathway towards self-mastery, and the staircase towards a higher state of consciousness, which is what we call heaven. If you wish to learn more, the Book of Wisdom Volume 1 talks all about this. The elites don't want you to have unified consciousness. While they brainwash people to make you think that this is Satan, they use the secrets of the symbol to create any reality they want. The triangle represents the 3 ways the soul expresses its energy. All-seeing eye is the soul, the observer, pure consciousness. The soul expresses its energy through the mind, through thought, emotions, through desire, and actions through the physical body. Most people have a divided consciousness, where their thoughts are thinking about one thing, their emotions feel sad, and their actions are scrolling on TikTok. This is divided consciousness. The soul's energy is scattered, creating a chaotic reality. To create anything in your reality, you have to gain unified consciousness. Think, desire, and act, all towards one goal. When these 3 forces become one force, manifestation becomes efficient, and your energy and time is not wasted. This is what you call unified consciousness. That's why there is one singular eye inside of a triangle, the number 3, the 3 becoming one. While everyone thinks these symbols are demonic, they're using the secret teachings behind all of these symbols to give them power. Full moon today is not just an astronomical event, it is a psychological event happening inside our minds. The moon has always been associated with the unconscious part of our mind, the hidden part of our psyche, which is always working behind the scenes. During a full moon, this is when the unconscious mind is easily accessible. This means our emotions are more sensitive because our unconscious mind is bringing to the surface all of the unhealed beliefs and traumas. For example, if someone calls you an insult, they do not make you feel anything. The unconscious mind reacts to the insult if you have any unhealed wounds. If you feel bad inside yourself and someone insults you, they are pointing at the wound and prodding it and making you feel certain things. So if you feel any sadness, anger, trauma during this period of the month, it's because the unconscious mind is trying to bring to the surface what is unhealed. The subconscious mind likes to repeat things that are unhealed so that we can acknowledge it, become aware of it, and transform it. So if you feel any negative emotions, you can use this period of the month to look inside yourself and heal these unconscious wounds through releasing them, meditations, and affirmations. Look at what's going on in the world. I've come to realize something extraordinary. Humans love to blame everything outside of us, including me sometimes. I'm not perfect. But the world is so chaotic, not because of the elites. They don't help, of course, but the world is chaotic is because of us. Why is there a McDonald's on every corner? Why is there, prostitution everywhere? Why is there strip clubs everywhere? Because people desire it. The world outside of us is simply the effect. The cause is inside of us, the thoughts and the desires. So instead of blaming the world of, having so much chaos and being a horrible place, let's look at ourselves and purify ourselves, because us as a collective consciousness shape the world outside of us. It's a collective building project and we all contribute towards it. So when we purify ourselves and dissolve all the base desires of food and sex, watch the world outside of us crumble and be reborn into something new. It's all a reflection of our minds, people. But some of you have already woken up to this, but yeah. If you're born in one of these zodiac signs, you're probably thinking, then why does Jesus use these zodiac signs? The bull is Taurus, the eagle is Scorpio, the man is Aquarius, the lion is Leo. These are the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac, and they represent the middle of each season. For example, Taurus anchors the fullness of spring. Leo stabilizes the height of summer. They represent the most purest and powerful expression of each 4 seasons of the sun. Each one of the signs are associated with one of the 4 elements, Taurus being the earth, Aquarius being air, Scorpio being water, Leo being fire. In Gnosticism, which is esoteric Christianity, each one of the elements and the zodiac signs represents a different body of human consciousness. They saw that human consciousness exists in 4 worlds. Jesus represents the central figure, the I am, the observer of the mind, emotions, and the body. Therefore, Jesus is the I am, the soul. Scorpio is the emotions, water. Aquarius is air, the mind. Leo is the fire, the willpower, the spirit. And Taurus is the earth sign, which is the physical body. So this painting of Jesus represents the central soul inside of every human being, existing in one of the 4 dimensions of human consciousness. If you wish to learn more, the Book of Wisdom Volume 2 goes deep into this concept. Did you know the 4 elements represent the 4 bodies of human consciousness? Earth represents the physical body, water represents the emotional body of consciousness, fire represents the spiritual, and air represents the mind. This would be thoughts, willpower, emotions, and physical actions. And this is why the Bible says, we will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. God is not a man in the sky that we can go up and reach and connect with. To meet the Lord in the air is to meet God inside your own mind by dissolving the body, the emotions, and all the other chaos inside of us, and going inside of ourselves and entering the pure realm of mind. This is where we meet God, because God is the observer of the mind. Meeting the Lord in the air is symbolic of transcending to a higher state of consciousness, because we are all the same awareness experiencing itself in different human bodies. We are all God experiencing himself. The sun has now entered the constellation of Pisces. Let's take a look at the esoteric connections between Pisces and the human body. Pisces marks the end of the zodiac cycle, where the sun finishes its cycle before starting again in Aries. Pisces, representing the ending of cycles, rules the 2 feet on the human body. Just as energy moves in cycles, flowing outward then returning again, manifestation follows the same pattern. Human consciousness expresses energy in repeating cycles as it creates reality. Human body is a living diagram of how consciousness turns into reality. Thought begins in the brain, thoughts turn into emotions and desires in the heart, and then the feet take action to express this energy and end the cycle of thoughts, emotions, then actions. The cycle of manifestation, thinking, feeling, and acting ends at the feet, where the energy from the inward worlds of consciousness manifests as an external movement in the material world, through the feet, which is associated with Pisces. Just as the sun moves through the zodiac in repeating cycles, human consciousness unfolds creation in the same way, expressing energy through the subtle layers of the being. Pisces, linked to the feet, represents the completion of the manifestation cycle and the return back to Aries. Aries is associated with the head and the brain and the mind, where thought begins again. We think, we feel, we act. Then the cycle returns back to thought. Love and light to you all, and follow for more.
I woke up and I suddenly got it. I understood suddenly how thought was just an illusory thing, and how thought is responsible for, if not all, most of the suffering we experience. And then I suddenly felt like I was looking at these thoughts from another perspective, and I wondered, who is it that's aware that I'm thinking? And suddenly I was thrown into this expansive, amazing feeling of freedom from myself, from my problems. I saw that I was bigger than what I do. I was bigger than my body. I was everything and everyone. I was no longer a fragment of the universe. I was the universe. And ever since that day, I've been trying to get back there.
This is a visual representation of what Jim Carrey just said in that video. We are all the same observing consciousness experiencing itself in a different body. We are not our name, job, reputation. This is all an ego created by experience, memory, and beliefs in our mind. If we turn off our thoughts, turn off our mind, we are the same observing consciousness. We are all God experiencing himself through individual forms. That's why he said he became everyone and everything, the universe experiencing itself. Absolutely beautiful what he said. Stop identifying with your thoughts. They will produce chaos. Your thoughts are always moving. They're constantly changing. One minute you feel confident, the next you feel doubtful. So if you build an identity on your thoughts, you end up identifying with something that is always shifting. And when life throws a challenge at you, you get completely lost in the wave of emotions and mental noise. This is what the Freemasons symbolize by this, the boat and the anchor. The boat represents our mind and body. It moves with the ocean, constantly riding the waves of life. Our thoughts change, our emotions change, circumstances change. Everything about the boat is in motion. But the anchor represents something deeper and more powerful that you can do. The anchor represents the observer within you, the part of you that simply watches your thoughts and emotions without becoming them. When you meditate daily, you begin to connect with that observer. Step out of the storm of your thoughts and start seeing them from a higher perspective. Instead of being carried away by every emotion and every thought, you stay anchored in the presence awareness. And from that place, you can see your mind clearly and understand your emotions clearly, navigate life with far more control. Because the goal isn't to stop the waves, it's to stay anchored while the waves move around you. Have a great day, everyone. And that's why your mind can be a prison for your soul, because your soul is not some magical thing. It's simply the observer of your mind, the unchanging witness of your thoughts and emotions. But your mind is like a landscape. If you think negative thoughts, hold negative belief systems in your mind becomes a trap for the observer and lives a horrible experience. But when you transform your mind into abundance and happy thoughts, you carve out a perfect temple inside your mind. This is why the Freemasons called the mind the Temple of Solomon. Every thought, every action, every emotion we feel carves out the landscape in our mind that our observer is living in. The mind is the only true reality that you have direct contact with, because you are not the body. You are the inner being inside your mind, observing reality through the lens and temple of the mind. I was taught that sex gives you the secret to create any reality. Now, I know that sounds a bit weird, but not literal sex, but if you look at the process of creation, how male and female come together to give birth to a child, it's the same with you and your desired reality. The male aspects of consciousness will be thinking and acting, and the female will be desire and imagination. If you combine them all, desire and imagination to see the reality, thinking and acting to act out the reality you have in your mind, you will create that reality. It's the same kind of process. I guess that's as above, so below, right? So it's the same thing. I've been using this for a long time, and it's following the natural order of creation. It's inevitable for the reality not to be created if you do that. Love and light to you all. Have a great day. What in the satanic ritual are we watching here? This is one of these fashion shows that was done quite recently, and it's just filled with satanic symbolism. People lost in materialism. And let me tell you something, nothing material can ever satisfy that void you have in your heart. Only spiritual connection can fulfill that. And you can still worship Jesus, by the way, and be a Satanist. And the reason why I say that is because Satanism is not about who you worship, it's the state of consciousness you operate from. If you place your earthly desires and earthly elements over your spiritual connection, you only spend your thought power, actions, and desires only towards materialism, then that is what a Satanist is, and that's what the pentagram represents, placing your spiritual connection below the earthly elements. And that's why this pentagram is the good pentagram, placing your spiritual connection over your earthly desires. This is just filled with people lost in materialism. And take a look at this guy with money over his eyes, symbolizing he's completely lost in just material things. He only cares about them. And that's why school will never teach you what dreams truly are. It's because dreams can be used to create enormous power in your life. Every person, every event, everything that happens in your dream is your unconscious mind. Because your unconscious mind does not speak English. It speaks symbolism. Every person, event, and thing that happens in your dream is a symbol that represents a belief, a trauma, an emotion in your unconscious mind. Therefore, when you dream, you're coming face to face with the hidden part of your mind, and it's revealing things to you. You just have to break it down, read between the lines, and try and see what the symbols represent. And when you take advantage of them, you can find hidden things inside of you that are trying to guide you through this experience, what we call life, and things you may need to face inside of you to balance out your mental health. And that's why people struggle to manifest their dream reality, because their attention is scattered. The soul expresses its energy in three ways: thoughts, emotions, and actions. If one thinks about creating a business, their feelings feel like they're hungry and their body's scrolling on TikTok. This is divided consciousness. In order to create any reality you want, you must have unified consciousness, unifying the three forces: thinking, feeling, and acting, all towards one goal. If you become distracted, remind yourself of unity consciousness. Think, feel, and act to make sure the task is done. This ensures that manifestation is most efficient. Energy is not scattered, and the mind can direct all of its power into one specific goal. The downfall of celebrities is finally here. We can see through all of their BS. Look at Cardi B promoting masturbation. There are kids watching this as well, It's sickening. They need you operating your life only thinking in the lower centers of consciousness, thinking with your reproductive organs and your gut, because this traps you in an unconscious survival state of thinking, feeling, and acting, where you have no power over your reality. If you want to gain control of your reality, you have to master and conquer these lower base thoughts and desires, and think from the brain and the heart, the higher centers of consciousness. Then you become a conscious master of your reality. These people rely on you being unconscious and stuck in a low state of consciousness because they make more money that way. Because the more people that are unconscious, the more people will buy into these products and unconsciously buy all these fantasy things from these celebrities. All they do is just promote the lower self, They don't want you to ascend your consciousness because you'll realize how powerful you truly are, and you'll realize that you have control over your reality. We're finally here, people. Love and light. Everybody should astral project at least once in their life, and the reason I say that is because it changes everything about yourself. What was destroyed for me was my sense of fear. When I left my body for the first time a few years ago, I no longer believed, I knew I was eternal. And that changed how I think, how I feel. No one can control me. I'm not afraid of death. No one can make me fear because I know I'm eternal. When you know this, it changes everything about you. It reborns your mind. It completely rebirths everything about you. And your old world is shattered. An astral or outer body experience is something that everyone should be seeking. It is the most helpful experience in my life, hands down. I found some secret codes in this temple. Firstly, you need to understand that temples were always built in the figure of a human form, because the human body is the temple for God to experience himself in a 3D form. Humans have an animal nature for survival and a creative nature for the spiritual. These temples were more than likely mystery schools where they taught ancient sciences of spirituality. Therefore, everything you see here is all symbolic of you and giving you instructions. So when you enter the temple, it's symbolic of entering into yourself, into the mystery school. And the first thing you see when you enter is this animal, and the animal gazes up at the top of this pyramid. Then you look in front of the animal, there is a long pillar going up to the top of the dome, which is the spinal cord and the brain. Even the dome matches up perfect with the dome of your head. In spiritual traditions, the spinal column is considered the stairway to higher consciousness, because the lower end of the spinal column symbolizes the lower mind, where your lower thoughts and desires take place, of sexual desire for the sexual organs and the digestive organs for food. In order to achieve your spiritual creative consciousness, you have to ascend your thought away from the lower end of the spinal column, because you can think with these lower organs, and most people only think about sex, food, and power in this world. The spiritual traditions taught you self-mastery so you could ascend your spinal column, ascend the stairway to heaven, and actually use your consciousness's full potential for creation. Because the advanced creative forces of consciousness are manifested in the upper half of the spinal column: love, expression, intuition, wisdom, and thoughts. This animal is not just randomly there, it's symbolizing going from your animal mind all the way to your higher mind, through discipline, self-mastery, and spiritual teachings. All of this is symbolic of the journey of yourself. This temple is you. The easiest way to connect with your soul is by understanding you can find your soul in between thoughts during meditation. When you meditate, you'll notice that there will be a thought, then there will be a period of silence, then another thought, then there will be another period of silence. This silence is where you can find pure awareness. If you meditate every single day, the longer the period will become before another thought arises in your mind. After a 2-week meditation, you will be able to go 10 minutes before another thought pops up in your mind. This silence is where you find the soul, the pure awareness consciousness. This is the light. This is the source of consciousness. This is the life force giving you everything in your reality. The easiest way to know if someone is lying to you is by observing which direction they look when they answer your question. If you ask them a question and they look to the right, it's an indication they're using the right hemisphere of the brain, the creative part of the mind, to come up with an answer, which will more than likely be a lie. However, if they look upwards to the middle of their forehead, it's an indication they're going into their memory to bring you the true answer. The next time you ask someone a question, notice which direction their eyes look in. Do I even need to say anything anymore? Like, it's so obvious. This is Travis Scott, Highest in the Room album, and this is the Freemasonic tracing board with the ladder up to the sky, to the path to enlightenment. From west to the east, Freemasons call themselves traveling men. They travel from west to east. West is where the sun sets, so this is the sunset, and east is where the sun rises, so it's going from darkness to light, from low consciousness, checkered consciousness, divided consciousness, to unified consciousness. This is why we need to learn symbolism. Symbolism is the most important thing to learn in this world. I'm going to prove to you that you don't live on a flat earth or a round earth. You are not your body because you can observe the body. You are not your thoughts because you can observe the mind and the thoughts and the emotions. You are the observer of them all, the soul, the I am, pure awareness. And you, the I am awareness, lives inside the temple of the mind, and the mind then lives inside the physical body. That's why the side of your head is called a temple. You live inside your head, and your head or your skull is the firmament. The word firmament can be broken down into firm and ment, coming from mental or mind. Word firmament literally means a firm or a rigid, solid mind. Firmament is known for being a barrier between the physical world and the spiritual world. The soul lives in the mind, and the mind is the temple of the soul. So if the mind is not free and is stuck in limiting belief systems, believing you are only the material body, then the soul remains stuck in the mind and the body. To pass the firmament, you must free your mind and allow yourself to explore the inner worlds. You live inside your head, and your soul is observing a simulation produced by your brain and nervous system. However, the physical realm is a flat plane, but you never live inside of it. You still live in your mind.
You ready? Yeah. I don't know what I'm ready for.
View wisdom. The boat on top of the water represents the things that change in life, the things that are in constant motion that you can't control. Thoughts, emotions. You don't want to identify with the boat. You want to be the anchor. You want to anchor yourself to something that is unchanging, which is the awareness of the mind. Anchor your identity to the observer of the things that are constantly changing. Observe the thoughts, the body, the changes, the circumstances, and the emotions, but don't become them. Don't identify with them. Remain rooted in your spiritual essence. There is a part of you that is fully detached from every trauma you've ever been through, and that is the awareness. When you recognize awareness and reintegrate it back into your consciousness, you literally gain a superpower. And you can kind of step back from. Since the UFO files have come out, I thought that I'd share this with you. If you take the word pineal, you find the word alien. And if you go to this movie called Alien, it looks like an egg, which looks exactly like your pineal gland. We all know the pineal gland is the seat of consciousness, where awareness meets the mind and the mind meets the body. So it's where consciousness, an unearthly life form, meets the physical body. So what is the meaning of an alien? An alien is an intelligence or life form from outside of Earth or outside of human civilization. So that makes consciousness the alien. Consciousness is not originating from Earth. Consciousness is heavenly. It exists outside of time, space, and matter. Hence why your mind can go into the past and future while your body remains locked in the present moment. You are the alien. This is not a statue, it's your brain. This is the cerebellum at the back of the brain. Now what's crazy, if you flip it on its front, you notice he's holding these rods, which look identical to the eye's visual field. The weirdest part about this is that the cerebellum is where the light travels to. Light enters the eyes through the optic nerve and it goes to the cerebellum. And the cerebellum creates this image we call reality. Then we look at the colors, right? We see yellow and blue, which is the sun. And obviously we need the sun in order to see. So this is showing us light and how we see reality, and basically how it's a holographic reality produced by our brain. Even further, it's a metaphor of light entering the mind, becoming enlightenment. The moon mission is a ritual. Symbolism of a rocket makes it very clear what it's about. Rockets are always made in the image of a phallus. Obelisks are an extension of male reproductive organ symbolism, and they can be found in every major city of great power. Because the male reproductive organs are a symbol of authority, dominance, and power. These phalluses and obelisks are never placed randomly. They're always located in a place of great power. So why did they do this ritual? Because recently there has been a lot going on. No one trusts the government because of the files that came out. We all know that space is fake and they're not going to the moon. The real reason they're doing this is to show their power and authority and dominance over the masses. Me and you can't send a rocket into space. We don't have billions of pounds to throw around. They don't care about placing a man in space, they care about their power and position over humanity. That's why they use the phallus symbolism, to remind you who has power and dominance over you. It's just another power ritual to subconsciously make you feel small and powerless. You are only powerless if you believe you are. Us as a collective consciousness hold the power to shape this reality to our will. We are the builders of this reality. Do not fall for their symbolic rituals. We are run by satanic pedos who don't want you to understand anything about yourself. That's why they give you endless pleasure and entertainment. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, bills. Everything they do is to keep you looking outside yourself. Because the moment you look within, you start to realize you hold the power of your reality. And they're using us to create their reality. The elites don't do anything. They simply just control our perception. You gain your power back when you start to understand consciousness. See Freemasonic symbolism in every city. There is a reason why every president is connected to Freemasonry. There is a reason why every celebrity is part of a secret society. Why is that? It's because they all study consciousness. Because this war that we are fighting, us against the elites, is not a physical war. It's a war in the mind, it's a war on consciousness, because they understand whoever controls consciousness controls the creation of this universe. By controlling the collective consciousness, they are trying to control God, because God is us, we are all God experiencing himself. And the elite studied consciousness, psychology, the mind, the nature of reality, because that's how you directly influence reality. If the elites are studying it, they rely on our ignorance of ourselves. They rely on our ignorance of not understanding how consciousness functions, how we function. Therefore, they can control us. It's all a war on consciousness. They aim to keep you deeply unconscious and asleep. Only if humanity could learn what they are trying to show you here. They didn't do this just for fun. They didn't do this to depict gods. They did this for you and for you to understand it. But because we lack understanding of symbolism, we don't know what they're trying to show you. And we look at this and think it's just random artwork. But I'm going to show you something. You are the awareness living inside your mind, inside of your body. It's the same thing. This is the body, the animal nature. You see this reptile here, it's the animal. This is the mind, and this is the awareness, happy beyond the mind. Because this is the soul. The soul lives in the temple of the mind, and the mind is in the body. It's all to do with mastering your body's nature, your animal instincts, conquering your beast within inside of you, so you can rise towards a higher consciousness and a creative spiritual mind. Depression doesn't exist when you realize every thought you think produces a feeling. You can control every feeling you possibly feel through self-mastery. This is not spiritual nonsense, this is personal empowerment. Thoughts equals emotions. Let's do a test. If you think of a very sad moment in your life, notice the shift in how you feel. Now switch it. Think of a very happy moment. What happened? You begin to feel that happiness. That is proof. Thoughts produce feelings. Therefore, if you become conscious, if you become the observer of your thoughts through daily meditation, you can start selecting your thoughts. Most people, like my old self, was on autopilot, acting, thinking without awareness. I was unconscious. But the more conscious I became throughout my day, the more I could pay attention to your thoughts. Because when you meditate, you connect with the observer of the mind and not just living in the mind and thoughts itself. So the more you connect to the observer, the more it starts to infect your daily life. Every time I caught myself giving awareness to a negative thought, I have a discipline. I'd slap myself, or I'd hit my head, or something that just trained me to never give awareness to an evil thought. I only now give awareness to the thoughts that empower me, that give me power and give me confidence throughout life. So when you realize you are not the thoughts, you're the observer of them. And the more you connect to the observer, the more you can choose and select which thoughts you give awareness to. And that will dictate your feelings. Depression does not exist when you understand this.
If I were to say to you, I'm a stranger traveling from the east seeking that, what would you say then?
I should answer, where do you come from?
From the east, and I am hoping that you will give my message on the square for the sake of the widow's son.
Which lodge do you hail from?
Travelling Lodge 3276, the Four and Fit. The Queen's Own Royal Light Infantry, Regimental District 3298.
Did he say I was to give you anything for telling me this? Because I won't.
No, he didn't.
Then why did you do it?
For the sake of a widow's son.
The funny thing is, we don't need to join any secret society to gain enlightenment, right? It's all a journey within yourself of remembering who you truly are by awakening to deeper truths about yourself and consciousness. Going from west to east is symbolic. West is where the sun sets, meaning darkness, or the earth, because the earth produces no light, represents low consciousness, not really understanding who we are, why we're here, what this world is. To the east, where the sun rises, the sun produces clarity. When you shine light on something, you can see it, meaning you can see more. You see yourself from a higher perspective because you have awakened to higher truth. And that is a journey as your mind has to unravel to perceive higher truths.
Welcome to Wash.
I'm floating! Tyler, look at me, I'm a ghost! Can you see me? Woo! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! We have our own cemetery?
Hello there.
Oh!
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give you a fright.
Are you a ghost like me?
A ghost, yes, but not like you. I passed on many, many years ago.
Inside of occultism, we understand that when the physical body dies, the simulation produced by the brain and nervous system no longer exists. Therefore, the inner world still exists. The soul, which is the observer, can no longer observe the physical simulation produced by the body. Therefore, it enters the astral vehicle. Astral vehicle is where thoughts manifest into imagination. Thoughts wrap themselves in imagination astral matter. And this is what you saw in the video, that when the body dies, the soul enters the realm of thoughts and imagination and desire in the astral plane. Depending on what you desire, depends on whether you go to the lower astral plane or the higher astral plane. I just found something quite interesting. Now look in the middle at these two swords as I mirror this left side of the image. Take a look right in the middle, pay attention. Look right there. You get the Freemasonic square and compass. Now I know a lot of people will say, oh, that's a stretch. That's fine. But remember, occultists always use mirror images because it represents the principle of as above, so below. So when you mirror this, you get the Freemasonic square and compass right at the center of all of this chaos. Now, I don't think low-level Masons run the world. I don't think the Mason in your local lodge runs the world. I do think the higher up you go, the more doors are open into, positions of power. So maybe this is just a warning to them or some form of communication to them to, warn Masons that this chaos is happening soon in the world. What you're about to watch is a Freemasonic ritual. It was leaked footage from an initiate first degree. So what you see here is the initiate being brought into the lodge. 1 pillar, 2 pillar. He's walking in. This pillar, these 2 pillars, when you walk between them, it's symbolic of entering inside of your mind and body. Because the lodge in Freemasonry is your mind. It's symbolic of the world that you truly live in. Because you are the awareness living inside the mind temple. So he's wearing a blindfold because he's blinded to the truth. His whole life he's been looking outside himself in the physical world. So he's blindfolded and now he's brought into himself. Now he's going to get initiated into the mystery school. So when they bring him in, they'll eventually take the blindfold off him. And when they take the blindfold off him, it's symbolic of awareness in the mind waking up. Because most people live inside the mind and body, which you are not the mind and body. You're the awareness, the soul, the observer living in the mind. So all of this, whether he realizes it or not, is symbolic of awakening the mind. This is why you have to get initiated. It's symbolic of awakening to the true self inside the mind. And that's why the devil is associated with a goat, because it's a ground animal. And the angel has wings. It's an air animal. It's raised in the air. These two animals representing the higher and lower self in the mind. The true you is the observer living inside your mind. Therefore, the mind is the only true reality that exists. The universe is mental. The devil, the goat, represents lower thoughts, animal instincts, sex, lust, and gluttony. And the angel represents higher thoughts, love, creativity, and intuition. The devil and angels were never meant to be real mythical creatures. They're meant to be symbolic of the higher and lower mind, the battle between evil thoughts and empowering thoughts that rule your life. I'm going to prove to you that God can't come and change the world even though we're being ran by satanic governments. God is not a physical being in the sky who can change creation. God is awareness. If you turn off your senses and you turn off your mind from thoughts, who are you then? You are pure awareness, just observation, no thought. You are the awareness behind your mind, behind your thoughts, behind your emotions, behind your body. And everyone in the world is a manifestation of that same awareness. We are all the same consciousness in different mind and bodies. We are all God experiencing himself in a three-dimensional physical form. Therefore, it is up to us how we unfold this creation. Creation was not created thousands of years ago. It's unfolding now in the present moment. And it's up to us how we create this creation. No one can come and change it magically. So if we listen to the elites, therefore they gain the creation. However, if we turn away from the elites, we then unite and create our own earth and own reality.